Okay, and then we'll be off. So instead of our sort of typical setup for reclined soles of feet together, knees wide posture, this one is going to use a block to support the base of your skull. So your head is going to rest on this block that's just sitting here in the middle of your bolster. Okay. And then this rolled up blanket you'll have to support your lower back. And then have a couple of blocks or a couple of blankets or whatever it is you typically use to support the outer knees. And instead of having the soles of your feet pressed up together and a strap around you, kind of holding you all in that way, we're just going to have the legs crossed, right? Like you would if you were just sitting in easy pose with your legs crossed. Okay, so you can play with getting set up for that. Decide if you feel comfortable there, and stay there. We'll stay there for the first posture. Okay, and if you just feel like you want to set it up the way you normally set it up, feel free. Right? I just thought I would introduce a little another option for this pose. Okay, let's go to that then. Let yourself settle. I'm actually going to turn off the brighter light. Got a new Restorative Yoga book. Introduced just some variations to the way we typically set things up, right? So this feels really good against your lower back, right there against your sacrum. And then I have just the perfect height under my rib cage spine. And the block itself, just the base of your skull, right? And so your chin's going to be more down toward your chest. The back of your head's going to be slightly lifted. You can kind of play with the angle of this a little bit if you want to. So it's a little, you get kind of the flat surface of the block against the base of your skull. But if you like the way the corner of the foam block feels against the base of your skull, that is kind of the idea, is to help release tension where we often hold tension right there at the top of the neck base of your skull. That is up to you. You feel like you can rest like that, go for it. And then your legs, again, just like shin over shin, ankle to ankle, your knees cross. And then here, wherever your knees fall, wherever your thighs fall, that's where your supports come up, right? So earlier I was playing with angling these blocks so that I get a flat side of a block against my outer thigh. Not a corner so much, but if you've got blankets, of course you can blanket up the corners of your block if you need the corners of your block. But play with the angle of your blocks if you can, such that you get a flat surface against the outer thigh or against the outside of your knee. Have as much height there as you need to, so that your legs just rest open where they would naturally fall. Okay. Then your hands, your arms just come to rest on the floor. Out here next to the bolster, out here next to the bottom of the bolster. Maybe the position of the block here is allowing your lower mandible and your throat and the root of your tongue to really relax back and soften. Notice if you feel that, let that happen. And then just from here, go inside, feel the beat of your heart if you can. And just feel everything slowing down just a little bit here. Beginning of your practice, especially if you were in any kind of rush to finish what you were doing and get here. So notice the quality of your breath. Rhythm, the pace of the beat of your heart. Give yourself several minutes here to slow down. Let's take another 3, 4, 5 breaths. And then to come out, we will first just extend your legs. Right, and then to come over onto your side, to bring yourself away from the supports in this first pose, just come to one side. Good. Give yourself a breath or two, maybe 3 breaths there on your side, and then bring yourself up, and we'll just rearrange. And we'll do a twist, right, sitting kind of facing the bolster. And things that you can do, right, if you have a good deal of extra props. So if you have, another blanket that you had rolled up, if you had a couple of blankets rolled up, just give you some other options for propping your pose, and maybe even using some sandbags just to help weight things down, give a little more pressure, weighting things down where things tend to kind of want to pop up off the floor. Okay, especially if there is kind of any tightness around the chest and the shoulders, you have some options here. But first we're going to just go, do I need some? I think I need sandbags for this one. Okay, so where we have a bolster and we have hands to either side, we're going to come down and rest on the bolster. Typically the side that you're facing, or the side that direction that your knees are facing, there's always tends to be a little bit more of a gap there under the shoulder. If you happen to have another blanket, like I said, rolled up, a couple of blankets, or even another bolster, right? The way this pose gets propped in this new book is with 3 bolsters, so that the shoulders, the chest, the arms are completely supported, right? So that everything is lying on something. Okay, so oftentimes you're kind of figuring out where to put yourself on your bolster, because one side is sort of weighted more toward the back, one side might be weighted a little more forward, and you want to just have props wherever you naturally fall. Okay, also, if you have a tighter shoulder and you want the back arm to go down alongside you, so if I was show you the opposite setup direction, right? If I was coming this way, then I have a tight left shoulder, I'm going to face the right. I can let this arm rest down alongside me. My other arm can be out here, maybe on a rolled up blanket or another bolster. Okay, so that's an option to let your arm go down instead of having both arms next to you or both palms next to you. Let's play with that, and play maybe as well with having a little bit of support for where your knees go. Okay, so a lot of times we'll take that kind of one knee forward, the other leg a little bit back, but let's put maybe just a little bit of cushion there. Now, right, everything just feels like it was made for you. All your props feel like they're making the pose for you, right? It's kind of an awkward way to put it, but you really want props to just like meet your body where your body naturally kind of falls, so that you never feel any sense of struggle. Am I doing it right? Am I comfortable? Could this use a little, you don't want to have that kind of mental struggle in the pose. You just want to rest. You want to be rested. See what works for you, and we'll be here for a minute or two. And then just sense into your breath, how the breath, as it kind of fills your abdomen and rib cage, diaphragm, pushes you a little bit away from your bolster. Breathe into your back. Okay, so we'll go another 3 or 4 breaths here. Good. So then just slowly push your way up from your props. Okay, and rearrange yourself to go the other way. I'm just going to flip everything around to face the opposite direction. Yeah. Blankets, right, especially, are just really, really helpful for the pressure of bones, the pressure of your bones against maybe each other or the floor, right? Cushion up anything you feel like just wants a little extra soft under it. And then rest. So another 2 or 3 breaths on the side. Yeah, so take your time again, moving yourself from your props. Sort of really super comfy way to prop your recline twist, right? Really just the more stuff, the better, right? The more props, the better. Okay, and then so for supported bridge pose. Supported bridge pose. Show it 2 ways. We've done both of them before. And you might, if you have sandbags, maybe have your sandbags handy to put over your shoulders. And we'll show it 2 ways. And I want to show it also with a block. I mean, a block, a strap. So that if you are standing your feet on the floor, we're doing the variation where our feet stand up on the floor, that we have a strap around the legs holding the legs so that the legs aren't wondering whether to go out or in. You can, it's harder to tent your knees in this variation with the long bolster, but if you have a strap, have a strap. Okay. Okay. Right, so then also, okay, so this will be the fully propped up version. Sandbag, strap, and support for your head or your neck, rather your neck, okay? So that might be just enough roll of blanket to support the gap that is the curve of your neck. And then your head rests on the rest of it, okay? So just depending on you and your neck and your needs, right? You might want more height behind your head. I'm just going to start with something that looks a little bit like that. Tiny roll. All right, and then hopefully I'm all in the right place. No, you can't. Sorry, but you can't be there. Okay, so then I have to get on my bolster. I'm sitting on it. I put my feet through my strap so it's around both thighs. And I want there to be a little bit of a gap. So I'm about hip joint distance apart with my legs, with my knees. But once I'm down, my strap will hold my legs and my legs can just kind of fall into the outer pieces of the strap. Okay, so we come down. We let the upper back rest on the floor. Bring a little bit of an upper back bend. I'm going to pull this blanket roll in behind my neck. Adjust it if I need to, more or less. And then I've got sandbags here. This takes a little bit of doing. This is really more like restorative yoga class with somebody to come and do this for you. But if you can, manage it, get your shoulders under your sandbags. Prop wrangling. And my sandbags really are kind of heavy. I have a lot of sand in them, but if you have just about 5 pounds of sand in each of your bags, it's a little easier to maneuver. Once you're there, you're gonna let your arms rest and take a big breath in and out through your nose. And then just see where you are with your props. Add anything else you need, more support behind your head. Take away what just doesn't feel right or seem to work in the way you think it should. And then just settle right back down into breath. The breath is going to feel quite different in this pose from the first 2 or 3 poses. Can you sense your breath lengthening, deepening, lengthening, allowing for a little more pause? Let's take another 3 or 4 breaths. Good. And so if you are using sandbags, you want to get out from under those first. So then from there, just let your knees fall to one side. Just curl you off of your bolster onto your side and pause on your side for breath. Fully letting go of the pose, taking a bigger breath in, feel kind of all that normal, natural space for your breath. So then we'll just press up from the floor again. Slip your legs and your feet out of your strap. We can set that aside for now. And then we'll take the variation of spinal twist where you're lying on your back facing upward, facing the ceiling. I'll give you a couple of prop modifications. Go in and out kitty. Okay, so a sandbag, maybe a sandbag. And maybe a bolster. And extra, maybe just extra like long blankets. The long folded blankets. So where you have your blanket folded thusly. And just that next long fold again. And that can be for kind of the opposite under the back of the shoulder or the length of the arm. Again, wherever you need soft cushion under the bones or the joints or between bones and joints. So let's take, right, if we come to our back, spinal twist variation from your back. The little rolled up blanket that was behind your neck would be maybe comfortable here as well, but we'll show here. We come over to one side with the legs, right? Typically, sometimes this top leg or the tightness in the lower back is not going to let us fully come over and just stack and be in this deep, 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 deep twist, right? So just show it first with the one leg there on the bottom and my bolster between my two knees, right? So if any of you are side sleepers and you've been told to sleep with a pillow between your knees to protect your lower back and your hips, right? Same kind of idea there. But we really want the twist to come in the rib cage, right? With the arms back, the arms wide, and the shoulders open and the upper back really meeting the floor. Often this back shoulder is not all the way down on the ground. Okay, so that gap, just slide a blanket under it. It's a little much for me. Well, I'm about like right here, but then I have this arm that's just sort of floating and I can just rest my hand on my rib cage, right? This is a very mild spinal twist, but I'm supported like where I land. Where my body lands, I have shored up, bolstered up support where my joints land. I can just stay like this. So then your sandbag, you could have over just this outer top hip or thigh. So however that will place and lay comfortably. And there I am. If you need extra support under your head, feel free to support the back of your head. A little bit of lift, a little more inclined so that our chin is not lifted toward the ceiling. Our chin is more down. And just adjust things as you need to. As your body releases, your body adjusts, you might feel you're using a sandbag. Your sandbag might slip a little bit or slide. Just adjust anything you need to as you need to. I do want a little other support under my head, a little more incline. And if you're adding things, right, just make sure what you add carefully and intentionally. You're not just throwing props around and lying on wrinkled blankets and lumpy blankets. Make sure you come up and just adequately make nice smooth folds in your blankets, etc. Another 3 or 4 breaths. Right, so if you again are using a sandbag, let that come off of you first. Slowly set your props aside. You're up to a seat, right? And then, I mean, you could just do all this from your back, right? If your stuff is close enough for you to get to. We'll switch sides. I'm gonna just rearrange myself at the other end so that I can still be facing you. Sandbags are a little bit of, they can kind of disrupt the flow and the mood, right, and the energy when you're lifting weights. But we will start again on your back. Always let yourself start in the twist from your back. I've already got a little support here for my head. And then I'm gonna come over, let this bottom knee come over, leg come over, and then just wrangle my bolster there in between my knees. The rest of me unwinding back this way. Right, this side, because we are mostly uneven from one side to another. I don't have as much issue with my shoulder getting to the floor, so I'm going to skip that blanket over underneath that shoulder, but I'm going to throw my sandbag over my top thigh again. Ease yourself back into your breath. There's another 2 or 3 breaths on the side. Good. And just slowly then just start to release yourself from your props, bring yourself over onto your side. Right, so let's do a little bit of a forward fold. Okay, so just a minute or two so that we have the rest of our time to set up a shavasana and then be in it for a little bit. So you could do child's pose, right? We really like child's pose with either, especially if your ankles are tight, roll under your ankles. A little space between your knees. And then you could use your bolster instead of maybe having your bolster for your whole self, like this. You could also have just supporting your forehead. And then you have maybe another blanket you could tuck as a cushion. Forehead supported by your bolster, or just how we normally support here, head to one side. And if you can wrangle sandbag onto your low back, nice. Have the sandbag. If you just don't like being on your knees, you just don't like doing the knee thing, a forward fold that extends your legs out under you, right? So bolster, seat of the chair, forward fold over your legs. Let's turn and rest the head opposite direction. Good. Take another breath or two here. Take one more breath to child's pose. You sit up and your sandbag just rolls off your back. And then let's come and maybe just have your bolster to support the backs of your knees. You could, again, rest your head to the back of the block like we did at the very beginning, if that was a nice little pressure against your skull. We'll just set up a very simple cushion for your head. It's going to do a little eye pillow thing, but I think I'll save that for next time. Okay, here we go. Good, we're into the 4th minute before we are done, so bring yourself to rest. Settle yourself. If you're really low to the ground here with just some blanket under your head and you've got your sandbags, put your sandbags back on your shoulders here if you like. Tension just rests easily, falls right back again into your breathing, into the sensations of breathing. Lengthen, deepen your next 2 or 3 breaths. Good. And then just as you're ready to begin to slowly move we have come to the end of our practice for restorative practice session. Move yourself from your side to a seat, so from your back to a side, from your side to a seat. Just pause for a moment, just feel what there is to feel. The shape of your breath. And just state the quality of your attention of your nervous system. Always honor your time, your intention for making time, your intention for making time to be here in your body, in your breath, in your mind. And the inherent unity of all of those. Until next time, until next week, until next time, thank you for your time. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And there we go. There we are. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome, Melinda.